So I'd like to ask you a question. What do you think of when you hear the word SEO? Positive, negative? I did a social experiment a couple of weeks ago, and I went to LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, and I asked that question because I didn't want the answers to come from people I knew. I wanted it to come from just anybody. Here's were the answers. From left to right, top to bottom, those are the answers, how they came in. Larger fonts mean multiple responses to the same word. Red is negative. Blue, positive. Purple, really positive. There's a whole lot of red up there. How many of you feel like that with SEO? Justin, you raised your hand. Okay. Those are powerful words. And that says more to me than anything else because I asked you for one word, your first reaction. Now, what do I think of? I think that people have that negative impression for three main reasons. One is misinformation. One is lack of knowledge. And one is unfocused efforts. When you thought why people think that way, what was your first thought? Crappy SEO consultants? Black hat SEO, I don't know if everyone knows what black hat SEO is. It's the wrong way to do SEO and you're trying to scam the system. There's black and there's white. But really, I think that negative reaction for SEO comes less from the consultants and more because you just don't know what's important. It's a mystery to you. It's confusing. Or you've been given bad information because you read a blog post that's 10 years old and it's led you astray. What do I think of when I hear the word SEO? I sat on my couch with my iPad and I typed in to notes the words that came to my head. Very relaxed setting, my cat was sitting next to me, but I thought I just freeform what comes to my head. And again, left to right, top to bottom. Possibilities, success, revenue, leads, liberation. It's free. Empowerment. My goal today is to make you see SEO from that perspective. I want to take away your negative and I want to replace it with positive. I want to empower you to see SEO in a different way. If you change your perception, you'll change your results. Our goal as educators, particularly with SEO, is to make you see it in a different light. And when I try to force that on you, the reason is I want to take away the negative. I want to take away the idea that you have to pay a consultant $10,000 and not know what they actually did. Get a report that shows no ranking and no change, and no leads and no revenue and no sales. I want to empower you. What does search engine optimization really mean? Different people are going to give you different responses, particularly someone who's trying to charge you money or sell you services and things like that. That is not my goal today. My goal is to empower and to educate you, and I want to teach you what it really means. This is straight from Google. The two important things in that paragraph is its incremental changes. Small incremental changes to what you do to influence search. It is not an SEO consultant that spends 1 month on your site or your blog charging a lot of money, not knowing what he may or may not be doing. It's about you making incremental changes over time. And your end goal is the blue text. It's a user experience and creating a positive one. That's the purpose of SEO. So if anyone else tells you anything different, I want you to ignore it. I want you to think SEO is your way of making a positive user experience for people that are coming from organic search. What does this have to do with you? All of you, need to start thinking like a search engine. That's how you win. That's how you learn to do SEO the right way. That's how you empower yourself to drive traffic. How do search engines make money? How many of you think about that? I think about that all the time. Because if I help them make money, they will help me. They make money by having happy users. I throw that image in there because I have a 16-year-old and her phone is attached to her hip. She is constantly on it. It sits next to her while she's doing homework. Why? I used to think it was just because she was constantly doing Snapchat with her friends. What she does is she Googles questions all the time to help her through calculus. She is looking for answers. If you help the search engines make happy users, they're going to reward you. So what does the search engines need to make happy users? I'm coming back to this because it's really important. It's a positive user experience. All of this WordCamp, all of these sessions are trying to do that. They're trying to educate you and empower you to do good on the web. That's what this is about. Let's look through a normal path. User has a question. You can be my daughter. It could be me having to cook dinner at the end of the day and not knowing what the heck I'm going to make. And I've got something, hamburger, sitting in my refrigerator. Or it could be my daughter wanting a question with calculus. Or it could be I've got symptoms and I'm going to self-diagnose myself and think that I'm going to be dying in 2 days. Because we've all done that on the internet. So you go to the web. Most likely you go to Google. You may go to Bing. You probably don't go anywhere else. You put a question or a phrase in the search box. The search engines bring back results for you to review. You're going to scan them. Most likely you will never get past page 1, but you will find something that looks like it's going to answer your question, right? It's going to solve your problem. You click through to it. When you click through to it, do you get a positive experience? There's a lot of times that you don't. But if you do, you stay on that page. You read that content, you digest it, you watch the video, whatever the case is. You might browse around the blog or the website. Google tracks all of that. If you have a bad experience, you jump right back to Google. If you're not finding your answers, you leave Google. Along that way, you fail to click on an ad for Google and fail to make them money. They need you to stay on the search engine, find good answers so you keep coming back, and along your path, you click on their ads. I don't believe in ads. I'm not going to talk today about ads, but I am going to reinforce the fact that your job is to help solve problems and make the search engines money by creating a good, positive user experience. This is the most important slide of my entire presentation. So take a picture of it. If you help Google deliver a solution to a user's problem, you will be rewarded. If you help them create a good user experience and you solve challenges for people, real people, not search engine spiders, not algorithms, not code, people. If you create a good user experience, you will win at SEO every single time. Now that probably goes against everything you've been told about SEO in the past, right? You're taught it's a plugin. You're taught it's a green light. You're taught it's an inbound link. And all of that distracts you from what's really important. It's you solving people's problems and creating great content. How can you make sure the user has a positive user experience? You ask a lot of questions. If anyone knows me, I ask a lot of questions. If I find you interesting, I'll play 20 questions with you and just start grilling you with questions. I do that because it gives me information. You need to start asking a lot of questions. Start with the questions about you. What do you do? Who do you help? And now shift it to that user. Whether you're a blogger or you're a business that has a website, the questions are the same. Who are you serving? Corey Miller talked about serving people this morning in the keynote. SEO is about serving people. Ask questions about them. What are their problems? Different users have different issues. They're coming to you, your blog or your website, for you to solve their problems. Ask yourself those questions. Now bring it back to you and say, for those user problems, how can you help them? And I hope as you were reading those questions or I was saying them, you had things going through your head that related to your website, your blog. Now I want to ask you, how many of those answers are on your website right now or your blog? How does this whole Q&A process relate to WordPress itself? Because that's why we're here for WordPress. All of those are content types within WordPress. Some may only have posts. Some may have pages and posts and products and categories and tags and custom post types and images and online courses. All of those are opportunities to solve a user's problem, every single one. Unfortunately, we get caught up with the idea of the home page or specific pages and pieces of content within the website, but you're doing a disservice to yourself and your visitors. Every single piece of content virtually in your website is an option, an opportunity to create a good user experience and to target them with SEO. More often than not, when you apply SEO to your site or to your blog, you throw keywords at it. A lot of people in here will know that you have to have keywords and you have to kind of know what people are searching for. But if I asked you, give me your 3 most important keyword phrases that relate to you, what you do, and what you offer to people, you could probably give me those pretty quick, or what you think that they are. Now if I asked you, what's the singular piece of content on your website or blog that matches up to those keyword phrases? A lot of times you can't answer that for me, because you take those keywords and you just throw them like confetti on your website or your blog. There's no path. The problem with doing that is you're not helping solve an issue or a user's question or a user's problem. You're not giving Google a path. And their path is to this answer for that user. SEO is also a process. It is not a consultant that comes into your site for an hour and just works on a few things. It's not just a plugin. It's a process. It's looking at your existing reports and your data and everything that you have available for information that you can data mine. It's looking at your competitors. It's investigating your competitors. It's looking at your activity within Google, Google Search Engine Council, Google Analytics, Bing Webmaster Tools. It's all of that data. That's your starting point, right? It's figuring out your current state and what's happening. Then you start to build a keyword seed list. And that might be frightening, but it's way easier than you think because you really have it inside you, and then you can find a lot on the web from your competitors. Now you have to start looking at relevance and how much do those keywords really relate to you and to your target demographic. Those people come into your site. Now the important thing is you're going to match up those phrases you've decided that you need to target with your actual content. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. If you're selling pink puppies and purple cats, you need to make sure that Google knows the best place on your website for pink puppies and the best place on your website for purple cats. Don't make it think. Don't make the search engines think. You provide that path, and having a sitemap, and not the sitemap that just lists your pages. I'm talking about keyword to page or keyword to post. That is critical. Next comes good content. Long form content, not 300 words. That little plugin's going to give you a green light if you're like over 500 words. That's wrong. That's not today's SEO. Today's SEO is, again, being a source of answers, solving problems. That's not done with anything less than 1,000 words. Then you've got a plugin that you're going to use, and you're going to hopefully get your green light. Then you're going to hopefully promote your content on social media. And then you're going to look to see where you rank. You're going to analyze, you're going to figure out what worked, and you're going to start that process over again. It is a process. Notice that where WordPress came in is only a couple places. Most people jump right into that plugin, and they install the plugin, and they think they're doing a great job in SEO because that green light came on. They totally forget about their user and all the planning and all the research and the time that needs to go into that. This is another important slide, my second one. When you leave today, I want you to remember this. SEO in WordPress isn't about a plugin, and it's not about a green dot. That plugin is a tool in an overall process. It is one part in your process that helps you execute a full SEO plan. They're important, and I love them, but they're only one little step in the process. You need to create, like I've been saying, the roadmap for Google. When you leave today, I want you to start thinking about your roadmap. How can you help Google find the best answers about what you have on your site and make sure that it has a clear path? And you're going to have gaps. You're going to have a lot of gaps, but now start thinking about those are opportunities. Those aren't failures. Those are opportunities that you can drive success. So in your efforts to draw that path for Google, start looking at the roads, the signs. Here's when you're actually inside WordPress optimizing, here's things to consider. The SEO plugins are trying to help you do this, right? It's your page name, and your URL, and your H1 header, and your content. It's images. So if I'm selling pink puppies, and I have one piece of really good content about pink puppies, and it's over 1,000 words, maybe it's 2,000 words, where should I be thinking about having my pink puppy? Because that's what people are going to search on. Which, God knows what would come up on Google if you search for pink puppies, I don't know. But it would be in all those places, right? It would be in all of those places. And the whole goal there is to reinforce to Google and for Bing, that's what this piece of content's about. It's about those pink puppies. Break SEO down into bits and components, and it doesn't seem that scary. Let's look at some real-world examples. See if that shows. Okay, so I said solve problems. Here's a problem. I'm going to be building a website, right? I'm going to go to an agency. Before I even start to reach out for agencies, I would know if this is a big project, I've got a budget, I need to articulate my needs and my wants. I've heard an RFP is a great way to do that. So I Google website RFP. Here's what shows up in page 1. I've taken away the 2 that I didn't feel solved answers. Or excuse me, solved questions. All of those rest are answers. And guess what? I'm sitting on page 1. 4th or 5th down. Why did my post rank? My post ranked because I solved someone's problem. I educated them on the RFP process for websites. I did this back in my ERP days. It works, right? I solved a user's problem with long-form content. I helped them. I aided them. I wasn't pitching them my services with that post, but once they got to my website, they're going to see that's something that I offer. But I solved a problem. That's why I'm on page 1. Let's look at another example. This one, so we're local. I'm picking on this local company, and if you work for Henderson Glass, I do apologize, because they do a WordPress website. But if you search for, what do I have, windshield repair, and I narrowed this down to their website because I know they have challenges with SEO from viewing things locally. 3 different pages, 3 different pieces of content. They're targeting the same phrase on 3 different pages. Very similar content. They've slightly changed things. So if you're the search engines and you see that, which one do you pick? Which page from the Henderson Glass website would be the best answer for that phrase? The search engines don't know. To make it worse, the content's pretty much the same. There's nothing that differentiates them. To the search engines, that looks like spam. It's confusing. You're competing against yourself. And guess what? This company doesn't rank great. It's local, so they will show up, but their competitors show up always much better than them because they solve answers. Let's look at a competitor. Now, on this same type of search, this one showed up very high. Let's look at the content, though. It's reinforcing with the meta title, the meta description, all those road signs I gave you. That's in this post. It's reinforcing for the search engines that that's what this is about. And not only do they say that we can do it, they actually educate you about the process to make you feel not so scared when you have to get that crack repaired that you've ignored for 3 months. You're my husband, you ignore it for an entire year till you actually can't see out your window. Because why? He's intimidated to get it done. But if he came here and he loves videos, he would see it's not that scary after all. He might actually make the call before he gets in an accident because he can't see out the window. But that's solving a problem. That's why this person ranks. plugins in WordPress, while that is your default, and they are wonderful, they are not SEO. They're just tools. These are two great plugins and safe plugins to use. All-in-One SEO and Yoast. How many people in here are using Yoast? How many people are using All-in-One? How many people don't have an SEO plugin at all? Get one. Pick one of these. Both of them will create an XML sitemap that you connect to the search engines, that allows the search engines to find your content easily and gets notified when you update. How many people in here know of their XML sitemap and have connected it to Google and Bing? Woohoo! Yes. Excellent. For those of you who have not, you need to get that done, because that's helping create that roadmap for Google that finds those answers to the user's questions. 5 elements of SEO. Your takeaways. Think like Google. Always ask yourself, what will help the search engines be successful? What will create that positive user experience for them and create answers to people's problems? Ask a lot of questions about yourself and your visitors. Put your people into buckets. By buckets, I mean, if you sell shoes, what kind of shoes? Who's coming to get those shoes? Men, women, children. People like me who want comfort versus trendy. Ask those questions and then start writing content around those people and those answers that you're receiving. Have a very structured process. SEO isn't something that you do for an hour every month. It's something that's an ongoing process that evolves over time. You have to have a structured process in place to be successful. But here's the secret. Everyone in here can be on the top of Google on page 1. There's no reason you can't. You don't need to pay $10,000 to an SEO consultant. You can do it yourself. You just need to empower yourself so that you're doing the right thing at the right time to solve those answers. And always stay focused on the positive user experience. And that includes design. That includes the pop-ups. That includes performance. A fast website does what? Makes people happy. Why is that part of Google's search algorithm? Because it creates a positive user experience. How about your mobile device? If your website isn't mobile friendly, what kind of experience does that create for someone who's on a phone? It's negative. That's why it's part of the algorithm. Always think about things outside the keywords, and always think about that user. Any questions? I don't know how much time we have. Who's tracking the time in here? Someone must have questions. Yes?
Do you say this will still apply in terms of a lot of the apps where they have voice search and like Amazon's Lady Games you can speak into, the Google voice search, where the questions are a lot more like long tail
Yes.
searches? Does all of this still apply?
It does. I love the long tail, right?
Can you repeat the question?
Like voice search, the new technology that allows voice search, it's not just one word, it's not 2 words, it's a lot more words that people are asking for. iThemes scores at the top of Google and drives a lot of traffic for the phrase, what is WordPress? Google even takes the content and sticks it up in a little box called the knowledge box at the top. That is not one word. But guess what? That's a great search term, and it's a great search term for iThemes, because someone who's searching for what is WordPress is new to WordPress. Guess what they're going to need? Premium plugins, like security. Guess who offers that? iThemes. So what did Corey do? Because he's smart. He answered a user's question. And by doing that, he's bringing in somebody, and they're going to buy a product when they get there. What other questions? Yes?
So when you said ask a lot of questions, do you actually recommend writing that question out in your post?
You can, well, first you need to write it down for you, right? And have your plan and help that go into your planning process. Then you need to make sure that you are having those, not every post is going to have a question, but some of them will. And by doing that, you have a chance of getting in that knowledge graph at the top of Google, because Google now loves questions. It loves, how do I? What is? Those are great questions. Don't just always focus on those, but they're definitely wonderful for driving search. Who else? Yes?
Curious your thoughts on SEO. We saw a lot of examples with blog posts and answering questions and that way. In your opinion, a different approach, or is it largely the same for, say, the homepage or landing page for the business? Coupling when you have that, thinking about the user experience, because you can't have your homepage be just 2,000 words.
You can,
thing.
yeah.
You want people to be able to navigate, see quickly what it is they need, and
Yes.
so, what's the approach on that, or how do you?
I don't optimize on the homepage very much because it's very difficult to control, right? And then it degrades the user experience for when people do come into that homepage and they want to get someplace quickly. So what's Web Savvy? Web Savvy is about website design and SEO. Do I have that on my homepage? Yes, because I know Google's going to use that in local search, right, and bringing me up in maps. And I know when someone comes to the website, they need to be reinforced that that's what we do and that's what we're about. That is not my target page for website design. I have a page for website design. If you Google WordPress web design, WordPress design, or any of those variations, I'm going to be at the top of page 1, most likely, and I have been for like 6-7 years, because I had a dedicated service page that had content, did all those checks that I had on my roadmap, and it's got inbound links coming in and has for years. Focus on those, fight less on the homepage, because I don't ever want to degrade that experience, and it is very difficult because you can't really legitimately build in links to the homepage with alt text and all that kind of thing, because it starts quickly to look like spam. Yes?
Mind if I tag onto that?
Absolutely.
So,
Go ahead.
when you're building, just make sure that you understand the purpose of the page. So if somebody's looking for pink puppies, don't land them on your homepage. Land them on the page that is about
Pink puppies.
specifically.
Yep.
And build everything else around it, like she's saying. Ask those questions to yourself. Well, if I'm building this page about pink puppies, pink purple puppies, whatever they are, pink kittens, purple puppies.
Pink puppies, purple cats, yes. And I have no idea where that came from in my head.
But the answer those questions, like she's saying, is what are people going to be looking for when they're here? Why would they come here? Build the content around that. Make sure your meta titles and descriptions. Make sure your pictures have the alt tag to guide them to that page, because they're not looking for your address or your phone number right now. First, maybe they're looking for.
They want to solve a question. Let's pick on you, for example. So Justin makes an awesome plugin called LearnDash. It's for online courses. Justin's product works for bloggers and small individuals all the way up to large corporations. What are some of your large corporations?
University of Michigan.
University of Michigan uses LearnDash. What kind of questions can Justin start asking? Well, the University of Michigan is going to have different questions than the individual who wants to launch a course. How do I launch any course? What are my steps? How do I scale it? Scale it would be probably University of Michigan. Start answering those questions, which you already do. You answer a lot of questions on your blog, which is how I found you in the first place. And while I bought into using LearnDash, and I do use LearnDash both in my stock themes for my own course, and we've done custom work with it. Because you solved my questions and my concerns and my challenges. You did that for me. You bought me in and I brought your product. Yes?
Is there any difference when you're choosing your keywords and like pink puppies versus a whole sentence, like what is WordPress? Like when you're choosing those focus things, do you want just one word or 2 words, or do you want a sentence?
Pages, like service and product pages, are going to be shorter, right? They're going to be the pink puppy.
Okay.
Blog posts, which are educational, are going to be most likely longer.
Okay.
And you're going to have a mix. Pardon me?
How do you breed?
I don't know. I dip him in Kool-Aid.
Somebody might have.
Yeah. I dip him in Kool-Aid. I don't know. But yeah, so you're going to have a mix for sure. You're definitely going to have a mix. And the shorter the phrase, the harder it is going to be rank. And now your next question is, well, how do I know if pink puppies is the right phrase? Right? So there's research that you have to do. Your first thing is Google pink puppies and see what shows up. One of the things I always do is I look at who's already on page 1. Can I create something better? Do I have more authority? If I write about WordPress or SEO, Google likes me because Google knows that's who I am and that's what I provide and that's what I offer. Yes?
In relation to that, when you're researching your competitors, you gather, like the top 10 keywords that all your competitors are using. Do you want to use those same keywords to go after, or do you want to kind of write your own variations on those?
Both. And it's not just looking at their keywords, right? Look at their content. I used to sell into ERP, which is Oracle, Microsoft, SAP, Infor, Epicor. Guess what? Those people had $1 million budgets, way more than $1 million budget, and huge teams that did SEO. But they were fragmented. Nobody was in charge, right? So if I went to one of their pages for ERP software, they sucked, right? They may not even mention it on there. That was the page they were targeting, but they may never even mention it on the page. The code sometimes is bad. I mean, there's so many things that you want to analyze the competitor for, but what that told me is those are opportunities for wins. Even though they've got the budget, I can still beat them if I can create something better and make sure that I have the right phrase for the focus visitor. So I look at, with competitors, I look at the phrases that they think that they're targeting. Then I look on their page to see what they're actually talking about. And a lot of times, with the bigger the company, those are never equal. So look at both. We can go to the source code. The funniest thing is meta keywords are only used overseas by search engines overseas. Domestically, they're spam triggers for the search engines. Do you know how many people still use meta keywords in websites? Lots. And guess who's really the ones looking at them? Me. I go to look at a competitor's site to see what's in their meta keywords because that's what they think are the most important keywords. Even though they don't even matter and nobody's looking at them besides me. Yes?
I have a lot of customers that they think they know what their clientele is and their keywords, but then we end up finding that it may not be because we're not attracting the right audience. So what do you say to a client, or how do you find the right keyword for their particular area if they're looking in the wrong place?
Yeah, so here's how I do it with both myself and clients. I think through who I've sold to in the past and who I've worked with and who's my ideal client, right? So start there. And that's creating user personas. Who is your ideal client? What makes up the characteristics of that ideal client? Now look at past communication with them. When they first approached you, if it's an email or an inquiry form, or notes from a phone call, what did they say? How did they articulate their need? Now you're starting to see what their language is. Here's a great example. Does everyone here know what a child theme is? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had child theme on my website at one point, and Deborah, wonderful local woman who is in the garden industry, she goes, Rebecca, guess what I think of when I hear child theme? I think of a toddler. Mm-hmm. I think of a preschool. Mm-hmm. I have no idea what that means. And as soon as, that was a shift for me, which was a great shift because that assisted in my SEO efforts, and I took that off. People that were coming to my site didn't care about a child theme. They did if they were going to buy one, that I sold, but for a custom site, it was irrelevant. It was confusing. And I started to think in Deborah's terminology. She wanted ease of use. Those were the things that were important to her, and now I need to start creating content for that. Yes?
Are there any books or websites that you would recommend for helping us learn more about
Okay.
SEO?
Oh. There's a couple. Would have helped if I would have had that up there. Yeah. So I actually have tools on my website. I have links over to other SEO websites that I trust and that I follow. Google has a PDF getting starting guide with search engine optimization. It's from Google. It tells you they tell you what's important. There's so many good free places on the internet to get data. The trick is just to find the people that you can trust. Because that's the scary thing with SEO is that it's kind of like coding. You can learn a little bit and think you know this, but really you don't. You know this little bit. And now you're dangerous. So you had a question.
Regarding keywords that have multiple meanings.
Hot dog.
Well, I'll give you one. Gauge. That could be a gauge for fine precision measurement versus a gauge that you stick in your ear.
Yes.
To make your earlobe bigger and bigger each time.
Yes.
There's other ones where people, maybe they use 2 or 3 words, but then I'm kind of thinking about the relation of SEO versus AdWords and negative keywords to keep all the people that are
Yeah.
searching for the wrong thing, you know, like, well, no, we don't sell ear gauges, we sell precision gauges.
Yeah, so
Although they're
different
spelled
with
the same,
organic.
so, yeah, so,
You need to take it a step further, right? My example is hot dog. A hot dog versus a hot dog I'm going to eat, right? Semantic search. Google a lot of times understands the difference between that because that's a common usage. Your gauge is a little bit more difficult, so you need to use more words.
yeah.
You don't have to worry about the negative words because that's pay per click. You need to use more words. Here's a great example. I spoke with somebody at lunch yesterday. She has a dance studio. She links in her most important page is the schedule. I asked her what the title of it was. Schedule. Hi. But that was a great tip. Real quick, you know what she needed to do? It's a dance schedule. It's a schedule of dance classes. Because if Google sees it, it could be thinking it's a schedule of colonoscopies. I mean, it doesn't know. You've got to be more specific.
Yep.
Yes.
You need to really, they're called keyword phrases, so you
Yeah,
need
yeah,
to
yeah.
develop your phrasing better, so you're targeting.
That's the way we keep telling, you know, more words, more descriptions, but again, some of these people are metallurgists and they don't, you know, they grind up tools and they grind metal all day.
But
and,
so
you know,
now think of
so it's
this.
like, come on, let's talk about grinding metal then, you know, whatever.
Don't just think of the gauge. What problems do they have?
Yes.
What issues are they having with their current gauges that you can
These
start
are
talking
like
about?
Motor City people, right? I mean, they're all about, they're a guy that's out in the shop putting a lathe and grinding metal and making little metal droppings go on the floor, but it's all about precision. So sometimes to get them to actually talk about 5 words at a time, you know, instead of just 1 word. I mean, some of them, they're really smart people, they're brilliant, but
It's like
they're not
talking to a
gonna- you have
teenager.
they're not going to tell you the answer to their SEO problems. You have to keep asking them questions,
Yes.
right?
What did I say? You need to ask questions.
Yeah, precision gauges.
Lots of
Yeah,
questions.
lots more questions.
Did you have a question? Yes.
Is there anything, I've had clients that have a pretty good ranking, and they're so scared of you touching their site, but yet they want a new design, a new website, new host.
What can you do to preserve it?
Yeah, like
Here's the biggest one.
reassuring them.
Here's the biggest one is that people lose ranking, right? And I've actually experienced people coming to me. I would tell you 5 times at least in the last 2 weeks I've heard this from people. They do a redesign, the URL structure changes, nobody does 301 redirects. When you change the URL of anything, you restart the SEO clock. All of your history, all of the referrals coming in gets wiped away. You protect that with the 301 redirect. And here's a very, pardon me?
There's plugins.
There's plugins, and here's, I did an experiment last week. I was ranking #1 on Web Savvy's site for Rebecca Gill. I bought RebeccaGill.com this summer. I built a website for Rebecca Gill in August, and it was sitting on page 3 of Google for my name. I don't want people to go Web Savvy for me. I want them to come to my Rebecca Gill site because that kind of shows them all my properties, right? But because it was brand new, it wasn't ranking. I did a 301 redirect on Sunday from that old, or from the existing page on Web Savvy to the new domain, brand new domain. 6 days later, that old page is gone, doesn't show up in search. Guess who's #1 on Google? RebeccaGill.com took that position. That is the power of a 301 redirect. All right? So that's the biggest thing with the redesign. Just make sure that you do that. I mean, you need solid code, whatever meta that they've had, you know, you want to make sure that that's getting preserved. You want to make sure that the redesign, here's another thing people have. Someone comes in and they're very visual, and they start taking